It is I, the Malik Aaron, and welcome back to Box Office Recap. So, July has come and gone, and it was pretty good, all things considered. I mean, sure, we had like a couple of missteps, but the missteps weren't huge. They weren't like catastrophic, like Lightyear was like in the June recap. And what's even better is that July of 2022 was the first month to hit $1 billion overall since December of 2019. Yeah, it's been a long ass time since we've hit those heights. And I went to like Box Office Mojo to look up like monthly results for like box office. I looked at July's box office and I looked up like past Julys just to compare. This July wasn't that far off from the usual average, which means we are pretty much right at the edge of normalcy. Like right there, just like which is just great. I mean, it's so much better than like last year. Last year there wasn't a single movie I could call a hit. And in 2020, there's no point in talking about that. So, yeah, things are definitely looking up. Things are positive, and well, I hope you enjoy that positivity because this is going to be the last time I'm going to be this positive about the box office for a long time. Because the next few months after this are, ooh, not great. But we'll talk about those in due time. But for July, most of my predictions were pretty accurate. A little over, a little under, but nothing that was like crazy off, which is great after again what happened with Lightyear. So let's go over everything. And as usual, I'm going to be comparing my own like personal predictions to what actually happened because I find that fun. So now let's get started. So July 1st, the 1st of July, we kicked off with a bang with Minions, The Rise of Gru, and to a much, much, much lesser extent in Mr. Malcolm's list, but Minions 2 is the winner of the month. It's like obviously. So Minions 2, the last 2020 movie to be released. Because as you know, this was supposed to be like a 2020 tentpole. That's what it was positioned as. Then COVID happened. Then it got delayed not by 1 year, but by 2 years. So instead of July 2020, it came out July 2022. But that 2 year delay did no real damage to its box office, as you can see. So my prediction, I predicted 100 million opening weekend and 115 for the 4 day weekend because it was 4th of July. And the movie did a bit better than that, actually. Up with 107 and hit 123 for the 4 day weekend. So it was a little above my expectations. And I said 300 million plus, and well, it has certainly done that. It's at this point in time, as of this is the August 2nd, right? Yeah, this is as of August 2nd. It has reached $324 million domestically, and it's not even done. Uh, it will soon, like very soon, within like a week or so, surpass its predecessor, Minions, which I did not expect at all because I was thinking, okay, it's been 12 years since Despicable Me, like that whole brand, like debuted. One would think people would be really tired of these annoying yellow Tic Tacs or Twinkies. That works too. One would think people would be annoyed at these things and how much they're like pushed in marketing and stuff, but apparently not. Nope, not people aren't tired, not one bit, as the box office shows. And might as well mention this. There's a whole meme surrounding this movie. The Gentle Minions meme. It was like on TikTok where you had like people my age, even less than my age, going to the theater wearing like suits, looking all dapper and stuff to watch Minions 2. And apparently some screenings things went wild. Bananas were thrown at the screen to the point where they actually like theaters had to like put their foot down and like ban these people. It was a little crazy. but it was extremely entertaining. Like this is what Sony wanted for Morbius, right? They wanted like a meme that would help with the box office. That's what they thought would happen with Morbius. Obviously, that didn't happen at all. But for Minions 2, it worked. So I guess my previous saying of memes don't equal box office, well, that's a lie. Minions 2 proved that that is inaccurate. I guess it depends on what type of movie and what type of memes. So, yeah. Yeah. So overall, Minions 2, big old W. Like, there's nothing negative to say about it. It helps that it was, like most Illumination movies, they're pretty cheap in the grand scheme of things. $80 million, maybe like 700 million, easy, instant profit. So, yeah, and Despicable Me 4 will be coming out in 2 years' time, so we'll see what happens with that. So, yeah, nothing bad to say about Minions 2. And also, I did watch this movie. Yes, I never thought I would willingly watch Minions 2, but the memes somehow convinced me that I needed to see the movie, and I did. I paid money to watch this in the theater, and you know what? It wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. It was all right. It wasn't great at all, but for a movie that's clearly like aimed towards kids, there are a whole lot worse options out there. And this is just good. It's good enough. You won't hate yourself watching the movie. So, yeah, that's my mini review for Minions Rise of Gru. So that was the main movie that came out in July. It's really started the month off of a bang. And then after that, Mr. Malcolm's List. Oof. Wow. I predicted between like 1 to 1.5 million for like the 3 day, and like I think the same, maybe 1.5 to 2 for the 4 day. Turns out I was way too optimistic, even though my expectations were already rock bottom, because it opened with 810,000 and it's so far made less than $2 million. Like after its opening, it just died. Look at these numbers. 69, 90, 69, 74. Like, goddamn. Like, jeez. Well, there's nothing positive I can say about this. Absolutely nothing at all. I knew it wasn't going to do well, but this did way worse than I ever thought it would do. So, yeah, literally nothing to say here. Just like my prediction video, nothing to say there, nothing to say here. It bombed, it died, nobody cares. Let's move on. Next up, the last big blockbuster of the summer, the last mega movie of the summer, Thor: Love and Thunder. So Thor: Love and Thunder, there's been a lot of discourse about its box office. A lot of people calling it a bomb, failure, disappointment, all those things. But I'm just gonna look at the numbers from the way I see it, okay? So my original prediction, initially I was thinking 130 to 140, but then I see this preview number of 29 million. I'm thinking, oh, it might do a little better. So I upped my prediction to 150 to 160, and the final tally to like 350. Well, I should have stuck with my first. Well, actually, it landed right in between my two predictions with 144. So I was mostly satisfied. It came close enough to my newer predictions. So, yay. But then, second week, oh no, things took a turn for the worst. 68% dip. Now, this is not the worst superhero drop of all time. That record goes to Morbius, at least of the modern era. That fell 74%, which I still can't believe. Um, and there have been superhero movies that have dropped worse. Dark Phoenix, The Suicide Squad, X-Men Origins Wolverine. So to act like this is the worst of the worst is just not true. It's close. It's close to the worst, but it's not the worst. And its drop was on par with last year's Black Widow, which came out the exact same weekend last year, which is real interesting. But since then, it has stabilized. It only fell 52% third week and 42% fourth week. And as of right now, August 2nd, it has hit $305 million, which means it could come close to my prediction of like 350 total. And to say like this is a disappointment, I'm like, is it though? In the grand scheme of things, I mean, sure, it's not like the biggest hit, but when you look at, okay, let's look at the Thor movies. Okay, uh, yeah, the Thor movies. Gotta scroll down. There they are. They've never been the biggest movies in the MCU. I mean, hell, Ragnarok, as big as a hit as it's been overshadowed by quite a few MCU movies, some of which aren't even sequels. Movies like Spider-Man Homecoming made more than Thor Ragnarok. Let's see. Well, Guardians 2, that made more than Ragnarok. Captain Marvel made more. Black Panther definitely made more. And yeah, it's just, yeah, so I wasn't expecting a massive increase from Ragnarok. I thought that wasn't really achievable, because even when you reach the fourth movie, because Thor: Love and Thunder, Thor is the first solo MCU character to get a fourth installment. Okay, Iron Man, Captain America, they capped out at 3. Thor got to 4. So he's got one up on his Avengers mates. But yeah, I wasn't expecting a massive increase, and it didn't get a massive increase. But domestically, it will still beat um, Ragnarok, because it's on a much faster pace when compared to Ragnarok. And I know comparing to Ragnarok isn't ideal because they came out at different points of the year. The Love and Thunder was July, Ragnarok November. Not the same. Those bumps don't function the same at all. Well, if we look at the numbers here, comparing the two, yeah, Love and Thunder is like way ahead. Like, it's fourth Tuesday, it's at like 305, while Ragnarok was at 279. So, and Ragnarok finished at 315. So, Love and Thunder should surpass Ragnarok by next weekend, at least. Maybe a little later than that, but it will surpass it. Which, I mean, how can you call that a bad thing when a sequel surpasses its predecessor? Isn't that supposed to be a good thing? Unless, like, expectations are, like, through the moon or something? And yes, it is doing worse overseas. But with Ragnarok, if you cut out its China and Russia box office, two markets that Love and Thunder does not have, Ragnarok only made like a little over 700 million, like around 720, I think. So Love and Thunder isn't that far off from that tally, so it's really not as bad as people are making it out to be. And here's what I don't get, okay? People are calling this a big old disappointment, right? Huge disappointment. But then you look at a movie like Venom: Let There Be Carnage, the sequel to Venom, which Venom made just about as much money as Ragnarok, same amount of money, like well over 800 million. But Let There Be Carnage only made like 500 million worldwide. A big old drop off from the first movie. A much bigger drop off than like Thor 3 and 4. But people call that movie a hit and this a disappointment. And I'm like, huh? Like, look at, are we looking at the same numbers here? Like, I don't know, maybe it's just, maybe like some of this discourse, there's like a tad bit of bias, like anti-MCU bias, which, I kind of get, because the MCU's kind of become real tiring at this point. Like, Phase 4 has just been a nothing phase. That's how I describe it, a big old nothing phase. But to call this movie a disappointment, I think is inaccurate. I don't think it's inaccurate, because it still made a ton of money at the end of the day, and it'll be probably the biggest movie until freaking Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and that's not till November. So yeah, so Love and Thunder, I would it's a winner, but it's a slight winner. It's not as strong of a winner as say Minions, but it's not a failure. It's not a loser. It just did good-ish, which is better than mediocre and bad. So it did good-ish overall, and it will get close enough to my predictions. So that's good too. So yeah, that was Thor: Love and Thunder. That was the last hoorah, big old hoorah at the box office, and then things just slide down from there. So that was that. So now July 15th. Lots of mid-tier movies came out. Only one of them I would call a true hit, but we have to go through all of them. First, we had Miss Harris Goes to Paris, which did surpass my predictions quite a bit. I predicted it would only open with like 1-ish million, or like 1 to 2 million. Opened to 1.9. And I predicted like a final tally like 4 to 5. It's now reached 7. So it has beaten my expectations, even if they're not, even if like dollar wise, it's not by much. So, and it's only like in about 1,000 theaters. So this isn't like the worst thing to happen. It's not great, but it could have been much worse. Like what happened with friggin' Mr. Malcolm's List. So, yay ish. It didn't completely humiliate itself out there. Like, that's literally the nicest thing I can say. But it could have been worse. That's what I can say about Miss Harris Goes to Paris. It could have been worse. Speaking of worse, Paws of Fury, the only real bomb of the whole month. Because, oof, it did not do good at all. And I wasn't expecting it to do good in the first place. So, Paws of Fury. I predicted it would open between 8 to 10 million opening weekend. That's what I thought. I thought there's no way this is hitting double digits. So I'm going to go a little lower than that. Turns out I should have gone lower because it only opened to $6 million. So that's really not good at all. That's like extremely low for a movie that had like a super wide release. And then at the rest of its run, it fell 39%, but at that point it's a classic too little too late scenario. And then once Super Pets entered the ring, it died. 80% dip, so it's pretty much over now. And it's only made at this point in time 17 million. It's not gonna get much farther than that. um which would be lower than my predictions of like 20 to 30 million. And with a budget of 45 million, it's a certified bomb. It's a certified L. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not super surprised by this. I mean, the trailers looked terrible. Like I remember I saw the first trailer in front of Sonic 2 and I did not look at the screen. I was on my phone the whole time that trailer was playing because I did not want to look at the movie. I could hear the movie and I just heard like this overly long fart gag and I'm just like, yeah, this movie's going to be trash, isn't it? I could just tell by that. And then like in the my prediction video I covered like the character posters and how just awful they were. Like I'm going to go a little bit on a tangent, but why do family movies have the worst character posters of all time? They all have these awful like jokes, references, like trying to be funny, but it comes off as cringe and terrible and out of touch. It's like an old out of touch man came up with like these things, like freaking. I'm trying to remember because it's been a while since I've looked at them, but you can watch the video to see those character posters because I think the tagline for this movie was like marking some major territories. Like, haha, get it? Because dogs, they piss on things and they're marking territory. Get it? It's so funny. Terrible. I hate it. Absolutely hate it. But, okay, enough of that tangent. So, Paws of Fury, bomb. Not talking about it anymore. Well, I'm going to talk about it once we get to like the loser summer recap video. But till that comes out, yeah, I'm not talking about this movie ever again. And last and certainly not least, Where the Crawdads Sing. Initially, like several weeks before the movie came out, I was thinking this movie has no chance. It has no chance. It has this weird summer date when it could be a fall movie. It's not much hype. It just it feels like it's gonna underperform. But then some things started to happen. It had a strong Thursday night debut, and then had a strong opening day, and then opening weekend it hit 17 million, which was right in between my updated predictions of like 15 to 20 million. And I was like, okay, this might be a mid-level hit, but I don't know how good its legs will be. So I predicted like a final total between like 40 and 50 million, and it's already surpassed that. As of August 2nd, it has reached $56 million, and it's not even done yet. Like the legs of this movie are really stellar, actually. It's having some good ass weekdays, which I imagine is due to the target audience, like the adult audience, the older women audience who are starting to really show up again at the movies. I mean, the box office for Elvis proves that. The box office for this proves that. And that's great because that demographic's been gone for a very long time. And I guess Hollywood finally released like the right type of movies for them at the right time, and now they're showing up to see them. So yeah, that's obviously positive. It's positive news. And yeah, its budget was like $24 million. So yeah, it's a certified hit. Not a massive hit, but it's a good mid-size hit. So yeah, nothing negative really to say. It's a hit, the only hit of that whole weekend. So yeah, yeah. So that's it for Where the Crawdads Sing. Now, July 22nd, we have Nope. Well, actually, before that, I have to find it. Marcel the Shell with Shoes on. This had a weird. It's one of those weird limited launches that expands like further and further as like the weeks go on. So this is another A24 flick after, they've had a banger year, mainly due to Everything Everywhere All at Once being their biggest hit ever. And so next they had like Marcel the Shell with Shoes on, which was an even harder sell than Everything Everywhere All at Once. Uh, in my prediction video, when it expanded wide the 22nd, I was thinking it would hit like $1 million, and it would make like, I don't know, 5 to 10 million total. So far, it didn't quite hit a million, but it made 874,000, and it only fell a little bit once it expanded a bit more. So it might reach 5 million at the rate it's going. Maybe. It just might. Because again, it's like 4.3. If you round, it's 4.4. So it's inching towards 5 million. I think it can get there. And if it does, then that wouldn't be too bad. It would match my prediction. The low end of my prediction, but still match it. Which is better than being like me being completely wrong. So yeah, it'll soon match my prediction. Not much else to say really. Um, yeah, that's it. Well, I guess I can say like A24. I mean, they have some movies coming up. They have Bodies, Bodies, Bodies next week. And then there's Pearl in September, which is the prequel to X, which came out earlier this year. So we'll see how those do. But yeah, A24, they're doing pretty alright overall. Okay, and now we get to Nope, which was positioned as like the big movie of July 22nd. To the point where for like a long, long while it had like the whole weekend to itself. That's how confident Universal was in this movie and how confident they were in Jordan Peele, and for good reason. Because Jordan Peele, he made Get Out, he made Us, both were massive hits. So naturally, Universal were like, okay, Nope, we're gonna give it the best treatment ever. We're gonna make sure it succeeds. So my prediction, I predicted it was gonna open in between Get Out and No in Us, between 40 and 50 million. I was like, there's no way it's gonna beat Us. That opened with like 71 million. Horror movies, it's very hard for them to go past that, right? Only a few have, and I didn't think it would do as bad as say like, well, Get Out didn't even do bad, but I don't think it was gonna perform on that level. So I thought it'll be somewhere in the middle, and that's exactly what happened. It opened with $44 million, so right in between my prediction in my range, which I was very satisfied with, and it had an all right drop for the genre, 58%. That's not bad. That's not terrible. Horror movies, they can drop like stones, man. That this isn't too bad. And as of August 2nd, it has hit $85 million, which means the rate it's going, it is guaranteed to hit 100 million domestic, which means this will be the first R-rated movie of the pandemic to hit 100 million domestic. No other R-rated movie was able to do it. I thought the Suicide Squad would do it. I thought Halloween Kills had a solid chance of doing it. I thought Matrix Resurrections had a solid chance of doing it. None of those things happened. But nope, I was like, this has to. Realistically, it has to. And it will. It will. At the rate it's going. It will probably match my final prediction of like 110 to 120. Maybe a tad higher than that. I don't know. We'll see. But it's doing good. Not as good as Get Out and Us, but I didn't really expect that to happen. Even though, yes, this movie's way more expensive than those, costing $68 million. It's not doing bad, and plus its international run hasn't started yet. So I think overall it'll do fine. Sorry about that. It'll do fine in the grand scheme of things. It won't be the biggest hit, but it'll still be another solid hit for Jordan Peele. So, yeah. And oh, I forgot to. Well, I guess I'll mention at the end my reviews because I saw both Nope and Thor: Love and Thunder. Well, I guess I kind of mentioned. Never mind. We'll talk about it later. So that was Nope. Um, and then last and certainly least, the last weekend of July, which was literally a few days ago. Ooh, it wasn't great. So we gotta talk about DC League of Super Pets, which came out a few days ago. Before, like at the beginning of the month, I was thinking this movie has a chance to really do well. I mean, it has no competition for like the next few months. It has the DC license. It has The Rock. It has Kevin Hart. It has all the pieces are there for it to be a hit. But I realized like any hype surrounding it was not really materializing. It wasn't happening, and I was like, well, that's not good. So, and then its preview numbers came out, and I was like, oh no, it only made 2.2 million. For comparison's sake, a Minions 2 had like 10.75, so there's literally a fifth of that. So I was like, oh no. So my prediction, I think it was either 20 to 25. I think that was like on my low end. My high end was 25 to 30. It hit the low end, only opened with like 23 million, which is really not good when you look at things. And after 5 days, it's reached 29 million. So I don't know if it'll reach my final tally of like 80 to 90 million. We're going to have to wait a few weeks to, figure that out. But this really isn't good, like at all, when you look at the numbers. I mean, the fact that like this has the DC license, DC superheroes are in this movie, Superman, Batman, etc. Right? They're all in there. So one would think, oh, that would be more of a draw. But no, that didn't happen at all. So that was weird. And then with Warner Brothers animation group, I mentioned this in my prediction video, but their track record is very, very wonky. It's very inconsistent. I mean, they started like white hot with the Lego movie, right? And then Storks did okay-ish. Then he got the Lego Batman movie. Then Lego Ninjago bombed. I guess there's Teen Titans Go to the movies that had a low budget, so it was able to survive. Smallfoot merely did okay. Then Lego Movie 2, which isn't here, but Lego Movie 2 bombed. Scoob, well, that got screwed over. And then DC League of Super Pets is also not in a good spot. Like its opening weekend isn't that much better when compared to Storks or Lego Ninjago. It's in fact it's on the same level, the exact same level as Smallfoot. And that movie went up against competition in the form of Night School, which hilariously enough starred Kevin Hart, who voices in DC League of Super Pets. So yeah, this isn't great. Especially again, has that DC license, a license that has resulted in like some of the biggest blockbusters of the past decade. Okay, so yeah, not good, not good at all. And this breaks The Rock and Kevin Hart's golden streak together because when those two team up, they print money. I mean, like Central Intelligence did really well, and then the Jumanji movies, Welcome to the Jungle and Next Level, did fantastic. This broke their streak. So, yikes! That's not good for this. Isn't good for anyone. And yeah, it's just I don't know. Like there's nothing really positive I can say. The movie cost like $90 million. I don't think it's gonna make much of a profit. So oof, just oof. I'm officially declaring it a loser. Even after 5 days, I'm declaring it a loser. Not as big of a loser as, say, Paws of Fury, but it's still a loser. Or even Lightyear. It's still a loser. Like, the only animated movie that did well this whole summer was Minions 2, which box office wise, has wiped the floor with everything else. I think it's made more by itself than all the other movies combined, which should really tell you a lot. Um, but yeah, DC League of Super Pets did not do well. Nothing positive really to say except well, I mean, it won the weekend, but everybody expected that to happen, so it's not really that impressive. Um, so yeah, and then last and certainly least, Vengeance, a movie that no one like got no real big attention. It just kind of came out. I predicted it opened between 1 to 2 million. It opened with 1.7, so yay, I guess. And after 5 days, it's reached 2.2 million. It might reach my 5 million uh final tally, maybe, but it's not really impressive like at all. I didn't expect it to do well, and it's not really doing all that well. So like whatever. Just whatever. So nothing really to say there. And might as well give my thoughts real quick on Thor Love and Thunder and Nope real quick. Thor Love and Thunder, it was definitely a step below Ragnarok. I think Taika Waititi, I think he tried way too hard with Love and Thunder. He leaned way too much into comedy, and I think that kind of killed the movie. But the movie's still like all right. It's watchable. I mean, nothing is going to be worse than Morbius for me when it comes to movies this year. So like literally anything is just better than Morbius because Morbius was just that damn bad. Um, but I don't know. I really wouldn't recommend Love and Thunder that much. Like if you want to watch it, cool. But overall, it's all right. Nope was better. Nope was a decent enough time. I think hell Nope handled comedy a lot better than Thor Love and Thunder because Nope didn't sacrifice tension for comedy. And Nope, it was intriguing. It was like a slow burn, like you were like, seeing like all these events happen and you were invested. And although the ending kind of just happened like out of nowhere, but I was invested. I had a good time. I would recommend that. So yeah, and oh, I didn't even mention Paws of Fury. It broke Paramount's golden streak for 2022. They were doing incredible. Like Scream 5, Jackass Forever, Lost City, Sonic 2, and then like the magnum opus, like their crown jewel, Top Gun Maverick, which is the biggest movie of the year and will likely stay the biggest movie of the year. Although it could be beaten by Avatar 2, but we'll see about that. Um, like after that, like they were doing amazing, and then Paws of Fury just killed, murdered all that momentum. So yeah, that's just sad. I don't even know why Paramount even bought the movie. I don't even know why they bought the rights to it, because Paws of Fury was like, it was supposed to be called Blazing Samurai. It was supposed to be like a homage to Blazing Saddles, an R-rated comedy from the '70s about race and like how a black sheriff like in a town of white people, right? And that movie, I've seen that movie. It's not made for families at all. So why making a family? Why would you want to make a family version of that? Is beyond me. But yeah, that Paws of Fury was a mistake. Let's just say that it was a mistake. And that's it for July. That was pretty much it. It's again, as I mentioned in the beginning, biggest month of in the past few years. But you can just tell, like you can tell when the decline started. Like after Thor: Love and Thunder, you can just see the box office take a dip, a hard dip. I mean, we got hits in the form of Where the Crawdads Sing and Nope, but after that, it's ooh, these next few months are going to be depressing as hell. But but in August, which we're in right now, we have like one last gasp in the form of Bullet Train that could do well, but we'll see how it does like over the weekend. But after that, it's just sad. It's just literal depression for the next box office depression for like the next few months, and I'm gonna have to cover it all, which is great. So yeah, but anywho, yeah, that's it. That's all. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, turn on notifications, share the whole drill. August recap will come out um I think first week of September. So after Honk Your Jesus Save Your Soul and the No Way Home re-release come out. So right in between that, I'll talk about all the August movies. So stay tuned for that. But if you want to watch any of the past recap videos I've done on the channel, you can go right ahead. And I'm planning on a little after the August recap. I'm planning on doing the summer recap. It'll be a two-parter. Winners and losers. We're going back to that. No streaming shenanigans really ensued this summer. So it's going to be a proper winner and loser video. So again, stay tuned for that. If you want to watch any other recap videos, go right ahead. There's also box office predictions where I predict box office for movies. This weekend I do Bullet Train, I do Easter Sunday. So stay tuned for those. But if you want to watch any of the past um prediction videos I made this year, and for any movie I covered in this video, like any in July, you want to see like my predictions on all of those, you can go right ahead. There's also the canceled series where I go over all the movies that were supposed to come out but didn't. Recently, I had to cover Batgirl getting canceled, Scoob 2 getting canceled, Creed 3 being officially delayed the next year, and I'm going to have to do another video where I talk about Joker 2 and a new Garfield movie getting 2024 dates, so stay tuned for that. But if you want to watch any of the past cancel episodes I've done on the channel, I've done 145 of them up to this point, so go watch them all from beginning to now, like binge it. Like I highly encourage it, so go do that. Anywho, yeah, that's it. That's all. I am out. Goodbye.